Hello, this is Com 400 and Dr. Banning coming to you live from Yosemite National Park. I wanted to start out with a quick physics lesson. You can all see this green sponge ball in my hand, which I'm going to put into my left hand here. And when I open it up, you can still see it is still a green sponge ball. And now we'll try one other thing. I have a red ball there. We'll take this and place it into my right hand, and this ball here we will take we will take and push it into my hand there. Now if you look at both of these, you can see that this hand actually is where the red ball is, and this hand also has the red ball, but it's changed just a little bit in size. Okay, that's our lesson for today. Let's go ahead and look at qualitative research. We're going to be talking about qualitative research, and it can refer to a couple of different things, three different things. Let's take a look at those. The first is a broad philosophy and approach to research. It means different things. Qualitative versus quantitative are a different philosophy. The second thing is that it is a research methodology. There are methods, specific methods of how you need to conduct it. And the third thing is a specific set of research techniques. The way you get it done is different than qualitative research. Now, qualitative research fits into a paradigm of research. Now, one time one student asked me, Dr. Banning, what is a paradigm? And I said 20 cents. See, that'll probably hit you tonight. But a paradigm is actually an accepted set of theories, procedures, and assumptions about how researchers look at the world. It's how they see the world. It's a philosophical approach. Altogether, there are three social science research paradigms, outlooks. And so the first is called positivist. And it's important to realize that positivist isn't something new. It's another way of describing a qualitative researcher. Excuse me. If I could edit that out, I would. A positivist is a quantitative researcher. I was distracted by the beautiful waterfalls behind me. Those are gorgeous, and the sound of the water falling is distracting me. So we have the positivist, which is quantitative numbers. You have the interpretive, which is qualitative, and it's basically qualitative, but you're interpreting the data. And then finally, you have critical. And you may have heard about critical. Critical is mostly academic. I've never heard of a business actually using critical research, and so that's why we spend more time on quantitative and qualitative. Although if you were to go into a graduate school, you might get into critical research of the kind of research of critical research. Let's start with the interpretive paradigm. Once again, it's qualitative. The aim is to understand how people in everyday settings interpret meaning. Now, the critical paradigm, which we just mentioned, draws on analyses used in the humanities, such as, and usually I would have a picture here in my overhead of a gentleman, and I would ask, who is this handsome hipster? It's actually Karl Marx, and that's what critical theory is based on. Ideas of Karl Marx. It often focuses on power relationships. It's looking at why some people succeed because the power is in one place, or if there are power imbalances, and very interesting academic studies that focus on that. We also have the positivist paradigm, which is quantitative, the numbers, and it is the oldest and still most widely used research method in mass media research. Okay, let's look at the differences between interpretive paradigms and positivist paradigms, and those occur on three dimensions. First, there is a different philosophy of reality. I didn't find this out until I was in graduate school. It's very interesting that they are different. The positivist believes a reality is objective. Now, if you were to Most of you would probably say would probably come from a view of reality being objective. The interpretive researcher believes there is no single reality, so they would talk about situated reality, is that they would say everybody has their own reality, and that's what we the reality from where we are, and that's why they would say there's no such thing as unbiased research, just research coming from different perspectives. Number two, the paradigms have a different view of the individual. Now, the positivist, this is quantitative, believes that all individuals are basically similar. So if you get a good sample of people, maybe a couple of hundred, you're going to be able to extrapolate that into the population and say, okay, if this group of people believes this, a similar group of people are going to be similar and believe the same thing. So you can make those transitions from your sample to the population. The interpretive researcher believes that individuals are different from each other and can't be pigeonholed. And there's truth in both of these. I find that when they go to extreme, that's where there is some difficulty in bringing those to reality. But the idea that people can't be pigeonholed, people are very different, and interpretive research is really good at understanding those differences and looking at individuals as people, or people as individuals, actually. And then finally, number three, positivists go for breadth, while interpretive researchers go for depth. There's an old illustration of a farmer plowing a field, and that would be the positivist quantitative researcher who has a broad, looks at many people, but is not very deep. They say sometimes they say it's a mile wide but an inch deep, because you can only ask a few set questions for all of those people. Now, the interpretivist is sometimes described as a well, because they look at only a few people, but they can go very deep. They can jump off with different questions, and that's how they do their process. Now, interpretive researchers attempt to produce a unique explanation about a situation. They'll often say this does not apply to other situations. And the more into qualitative research, some of the more radical people will really go into that and say no qualitative research applies to anything else. Well, most of us don't believe that. Obviously, if you're doing a focus group, which is qualitative research, most of the time we're doing that to find out, get an idea of what other people think, and so even if it's not going to be proportional. So, and let's see, how long have we gone here? Oh, we've gone almost 8 minutes. We will stop there, and we will come back looking at 5 major research areas.